Good evening. Welcome to Woodbridge, the best town around. My name is John McCormick. I'm the mayor of this great town, and we're going to see tonight why we're such a great town as we honor police officers for outstanding work, certain ones for life-saving, others for a terrific job working with our community. And I'd like to read a proclamation, the details of the life-saving case. On Sunday, April 14th, 2024 at 2:50 a.m., police units were dispatched to 48 West Pond Road in the Hope Lawn section of Woodbridge Township on a report of a domestic violence dispute involving one person being stabbed. Police officers Andrew Lissick, who's got 18 years with the force, and George Awad, who's got 2, arrived on location first and quickly ascertained that the dispute involved an adult male and adult female who have a child in common. The officers located the adult male outside of the building and an adult female who remained inside the building in their apartment. Police officers Jacob Benenti, who's got 4 years, and Dipin Nai, who's got 1, arrived moments later and found that the female possessed a knife and had a laceration to her hand. It was determined that she was the aggressor and she was placed in handcuffs. The male was observed to have a severe injury to his right leg as his pants were blood-soaked and he was standing in a pool of blood. The officers guided the patient to the ground and could see a large puncture wound on his inner thigh that had pierced his femoral artery. The officers immediately applied a tourniquet to control the bleeding, which only slowed the bleeding. Officers then applied a second tourniquet, which completely stopped the bleeding, at which time the patient was transported to the hospital. These police officers are hereby recognized for a job well done. Upon arriving, they secured the scene and identified the aggressor, who was placed under arrest. Officers identified the severity of the stab wound and provided life-saving measures to the male. Copies of these letters are to become part of their personnel's files. Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Lissick, Dipin Nai, Jacob Menente, and George Awad, please come up. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Andrew, congratulations. George?
Thank you.
Thank you. And
Yes, thank you.
all right, you always ask this question. The answer is frequently no. Yeah, they're not listening yet. Lissick, you're the senior member of the group. You want to say a few words?
Thank you. It's just doing our job, so we don't need this, but appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Anybody else want to say a few words? Jake, George? Oh, come on up, man. You're the rookie. They should say he's the rookie. He's got 1 year. He's the guy that should come up. You want to say anything, Nivet? You want to say anything?
Oh, no, I'm good.
All right. How about any one of you girls want to come up and talk about your dad? Who wants to come up? Come on up. Come on up. Here, you hold this. Come here. Stand right by me. Don't be afraid. How about you all come together? All come together. All right. You stand right here. Look over there. And stand over here a little more. Get right in front of the camera. You got 15 minutes of fame here.
My dad is weird. My daddy is kind of the best.
Why are you here? What did Daddy do?
Save someone's life.
Save someone's life. Isn't that pretty good? You feel very proud? And I said before, I've known your daddy, your mom for a long, long time, and I know your grandma and grandpa for probably 30 years. They live in Colonia, so do I. Used to be their accountant, and they did my kitchen in my house. So they never paid for taxes, and I never paid for my kitchen. It was a good deal, right? Except the kitchen was worth a lot more than a couple tax returns. And I'm only kidding about that if anybody's watching from the IRS. All right, you're good? All right, thank you very much. Let's take some pictures, you guys. Okay, so for the last many years, we have had a program to honor the police officers of every quarter, and then we select an officer of the year. So we're here tonight to honor the police officer of the first quarter, January 1 through March 31st, 2024, and that is Police Officer Sue Ellen Gerena of the Woodbridge PD Squad 3. Officer Gerena, congratulations. This is a little bit of a long one, so Officer Simone Gerena, having achieved all the criteria set forth by the Woodbridge Police Department, is hereby awarded Police Officer of the First Quarter for 2024. Officer Gerena has distinguished herself as a role model for the department by her commitment to excellence and her enthusiasm to protect and serve the residents of Woodbridge Township. Officer Gerena strives to better herself and the image of the police department and establishes positive relationships when coming in contact with the public. Officer Simone Gerena, who is assigned to the Radio Patrol Division, besides taking on her daily patrol duties, has volunteered to work with the Community Affairs Unit, furthering the Community Outreach Program. This program was developed to have officers provide businesses with safety and security measures in order to prevent and deter crime. Officer Gerena has also been selected and assigned to the Arrive Together program. The Arrive program has mental health experts riding with police officers who have received crisis intervention training. The goal of the program is to assist individuals experiencing a mental health crisis, obtain access to care and treatment, and to reduce the risk of violent behavior during interactions. During the first quarter of 24, Officer Gerena responded to numerous psychiatric calls, which resulted in individuals both being voluntarily and involuntarily committed to the hospital for evaluation. During January, Officer Gerena and the mental health expert responded to the call of a female who was experiencing a mental health crisis. The woman was an obvious crisis, and the mental health expert determined that she needed to be transported to the hospital for evaluation. The woman became uncooperative and more paranoid. The woman wanted the officers to leave and stated that she was too busy to go to the hospital. The woman then attempted to enter her vehicle and leave, at which point Officer Gerena and other officers were able to stop the woman and place her on a stretcher for transportation. Officer Gerena treated the woman with dignity and patience and assured the woman received the appropriate mental health treatment. During early February of 24, Officer Gerena and the mental health expert responded to a call of another woman who was in crisis. Officer Gerena knew from previous calls at this address that the woman had been violent in the past, attacking both her husband and responding officers. Officer Gerena, using this knowledge, made sure that both she and the mental health expert were prepared in the event that the situation became violent. Once in presence of the woman, it was determined she would need to be involuntarily committed. The woman was initially uncooperative, but after a lengthy conversation with Officer Gerena, who used her training and calm demeanor, she convinced the woman to walk to the ambulance and be transported without further incident. Arrive is something that we're one of the only towns in the county to do, right? We're one of the first ones to do. And it is what it said. We get mental health experts that can go to a situation with the police officer. Sometimes people are afraid of police officers. Sometimes they're afraid of other people. It's a very tense situation. And Officer Gerena has embraced this program and become an expert in it. And all you have to do is read the papers to see that this is a service that's so desperately needed in society today, because there's always interactions with people with mental health issues and law enforcement. And she's become an expert in Woodbridge. And I want to thank you for the great job that you do, and you deserve to be the Officer of the Quarter. And you might not want to speak, but you got to say something about this program. You got to talk about it.
Well, first off, I wanted to say thank you. It is an honor being up here and receiving this award. The program started about a year ago. We implemented it, it was just 1 day a week, and now we're up to 2 days a week, where we basically just drive around with a mental health expert. I don't wear this full uniform. I'm actually just in a plain polo, just a duty belt. And then we walk in, other officers make this the safe scene, and then I'll walk in with the mental health expert, and then we just basically sit down and speak with them. At the very minimum, we at least try to offer them resources so that if they do come upon another episode or things like that, they have the resources where they can actually call someone and just reach out, you know, instead of going through a whole episode or waiting for that full episode to happen. They can reach out to a therapist and things like that.
So it's a lot like our peer recovery coach program, except they jump in after an incident and help the person. You're trying to help them before it gets to an incident.
A lot of times we get there when there is an incident, but a lot of times, if it's not severe, we do offer them resources. We give them handouts, numbers to call, and people to reach out to before it gets extreme. You know, but if it's an extreme case, we do take them to the hospital.
How many people have the training you have in RPD?
There's just a handful, about 10.
About 10 do?
About 10 on both sides. If you go,
It's continuing.
It's continuing.
You continue to send people.
All right.
as the program gets bigger, they're adding more towns, and hopefully we'll get more days, and we can actually offer this resource to residents on a daily basis.
Wow, very good.
right, thank you.
Congratulations. Get back to. I'd like to ask Police Director Hubner if he'd like to say a few words about both the life-saving officers and the officer of the quarter.
Absolutely. First, I want to thank the mayor. As usual, he recognizes the outstanding work our officers do. To the gentleman who did the life-saving, we do these proclamations every so often, and 9 out of 10 times, the officers that are being honored are for life-saving. We put a high value on preparing our officers to respond to these types of calls, and it really works because countless lives are saved because of the actions of the officers who always, I shouldn't say always, but more than not, beat the first aid to these calls. So they take action, and by the time the first aid's there, usually everything's under control. So outstanding job. To Sue Ellen, you know, a lot of times, officer of the quarter, they get the award because they've stopped crimes of progress or things of that nature. But the programs that she's involved with and her volunteering with community affairs is equally important. So congratulations to her.
I did not, I failed to introduce the council before we started, so I'll do it now. First of all, we have Deputy Director Joe Niski of the Police Department. To his right is Kyle Anderson, current council president and councilman at large. To his right, Corey Spiller, 3rd Ward Councilman, Avenel and Port Reading. To his right, Sharon McAuliffe, 1st Ward Councilwoman for Woodbridge and Seawarren. To her right, 5th Ward Councilwoman Debbie Meehan, who covers Colonia. To her right, at-large Councilwoman Lizbeth DeJesus. To her right, Councilman at large Greg Ficara. And to his right, Howie Bauer, 2nd Ward Councilman covering Hope Lawn, Fords, and Caseby. And I'll ask anybody, starting with the council president, if anybody would want to say a few words about our hero officers and about our other hero officer of the quarter. Anybody want to say anything?
First of all, I want to echo the comments of Director Hubner and thanking the mayor and the council for recognizing our first line officers that come out to a lot of calls where you don't know the situation. The word that I heard over and over was training, and you can't get that training without support from the council, the mayor, and we're just glad to see that training is paying off. Every year, you know, we add more and more police officers. Our police officers are getting younger. You know, this young man here, I've known him for a very young, when he was a very young man, and played ball in my program, and I've known his family for a very long time. But just to see now that they're a part of protecting us while we're sleeping and protecting the people that they come up on a situation that they don't know the scenario. The life-saving effort, Sue Ellen, congratulations, and thank you very much, because as far as coming up on a mental health situation, you never know what you're walking into, and like you said, you're not in this attire, you're in a polo, and you're walking up, and you don't know what that person's capable of, but it's your training that is paying off, and it's really helping our community remain safe. And we're also, you know, situations that could go a different way are actually ending positively, like having the woman walk herself to the ambulance voluntarily. So thank you very much, and I know the community thanks you.
Anybody else? Good. Elizabeth, come on up.
I just want to say that in the world that we live in, sometimes being a police officer or first responder can be a thankless job, but we want you to know that we do appreciate the job that each and every one of you do. I think it's safe to say that Woodbridge, with the support of the administration, the mayor, council, Deputy Director Niski, and Director Hubner, they always make sure that our police officers have the training that they need to meet the needs of our community. So in behalf of Woodbridge Township, I want to thank each and every one of you for the job that you do, the training that you partake in, We really appreciate everything that you do. And just to have Woodbridge mind at ease, we do have men and women that really care about our community, and as shown here, have the training that is needed to meet whatever arises in Woodbridge Township. Thank you.
And just a quick piece of information, we do have 7 officers coming out of the academy in 2 weeks, to be June 7th, to become Woodbridge police officers, and we actually have a class of 10 for the next academy. Usually to get 10, we have to go through 40 or so. We never wind up with 10, but we actually have 10 for the first time in how long? 4 or 5 years since we've been able to identify 10 candidates and get them into the academy. So as Kyle and Lizbeth said, our force keeps growing and it keeps getting better. And I say it all the time that this is the best police department in the state of New Jersey, and these men and women go out and prove it every single day. So thank you all very much.